The Gulf Coast Growth Show is sponsored by Chevron Pasadena Refinery and is an extension of the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region, where our mission is to market and grow a vibrant regional economy. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. I'm your host, Jason Lee, joined by my co-host, Zeke Smith. Zeke, what's up, Jason? And we are joined by Mr. Matt Asmus, the CEO of Bendco Houston Pipe Vendors. Matt, great to have you today. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Matt, we were talking before the show. You've got a fantastic agenda lined up, and we're going to hear a lot about your company, what you guys do, how you serve. Our typical format of sharing the story of our great members and our great region that we serve. But you've got a really unique story. I think it's pretty cool where you came from and how you got here. And we'd love to hear a little bit about that. So before we get started, talk to us about the last couple of years and what got you into the industry.
Sure. So I was in telecom for my whole career, over 25 years. Started out right after college as a field service technician for a long distance company at the time, worked my way up through the business and had a little small equity piece in the business, and then it was sold in 98, and I stayed with new owners. 2 years later, kind of the dot-com bust, they filed bankruptcy.
Okay.
And went back to the original founder of the business, and we purchased the assets of the company back out of bankruptcy. And then I ran it until 2016 as a CEO, and we sold it again. And so I did nothing for a while. I was 50 years old. I had a non-compete in Texas and Oklahoma for telecom. Have a family rooted here in Houston. My wife has a law practice, so we really weren't going anywhere.
Right.
And so I tried to kind of figure out what was next and maybe do less, for a while. But I kind of told my wife, I said, I feel like a sheep herder that sold all the sheep. I'm still standing on the side of the hill and I got my staff, but I need something to do.
That's right.
So I started looking for companies that I could maybe purchase or invest in that wouldn't violate my non-compete.
Right.
And the very first one I looked at was a recommendation from my wife. It was actually one of her clients that she had done a divorce for. And he was, approaching his 70s and wanted to sell the business. And it was a marine hardware business. And I met the man and spent about a month looking at the company. And in that month, he kind of figured out that he didn't want to trade places with me and sell his baby and have nothing to do. But in that month, I did meet all the employees. And one of the ladies I met named Stacy, I asked her what she did before she worked at the marine hardware business. And she said she worked for her husband's family's company, which was in Pasadena. And I said, well, what's it called? She said, Bendco. I looked at her kind of funny and I said, Bendco? I know Bendco. They were a customer of mine in the phone business.
Oh, wow.
And I actually went out there as a field service technician, like in jeans and a butt set. I installed their equipment.
That's crazy.
Yeah, in the early 90s. And then I asked her how it was going. How's the business doing? And her kind of body language changed and said, well, the father/founder had passed away and they were struggling. And, it wasn't really a great story. And I was sorry to hear that. But I did start following the business kind of on Google. And I got a notice that they had filed Chapter 11.
Oh,
well, I had some Chapter 11 experience. Right?
Sure,
I thought, well, maybe I can be helpful. If nothing else, just kind of tell them maybe what this path was going to look like. And so I reached out to her, and then she set up a meeting with the family, and I talked to them. And this was in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent about 9 months going to the company basically every day and just learning the business. And because they wanted some help, maybe I could be an investor and help get the thing out of bankruptcy. And I had negotiated with all the creditors. It was multi-millions of dollars in debt. What I found basically was there was a business that worked, but a balance sheet that didn't. They borrowed some money to upgrade some of the equipment, done some things, and maybe this business is very cyclical, I've learned. And the cycle, was just not right for the debt load they took on, and so it just needed a restructuring.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to have the capital to approach it as a viable participant and try to fix it. And I worked on it for the better part of a year, and I had things lined up to purchase the business out of bankruptcy. And 2 hours before the judge was scheduled to approve my reorganization plan, a competing offer was submitted to the court. And they hadn't been involved in the process at all. They just came out of nowhere. And so we show up in court, and it was a private equity-backed firm.
Oh my gosh!
That owned Houston Pipe Vendors. And it was me and my lawyer and about 10 of those guys, right? And the judge said, well, we're going to do a live auction right now. Well, I did okay in telecom when I exited, but I didn't do like private equity well, right? So, so I knew where this was going to go if they really wanted the business.
Right. You're like, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. And so the judge, did the live auction right then, and I was outbid, and I congratulate the guys, right? It was well played. And even though I was disappointed not to get the business, I told them that, well played, congratulations. And I said, if you guys run across any smaller deals that maybe you're not interested in, pitch them my way. I'd love to look at, because I'm looking for something else to do. And also, I've looked at this business pretty hard for the last 9 months. And if you have any questions, let me know. So I, had a cordial relationship with these guys. And they did show me some deals, and, I looked at them. They weren't a good fit for me. So fast forward to, basically 15 months ago, they reached out to me, and their main business is pipeline construction, this large, $500 million or more in annual revenues kind of thing. And they'd seen some cyclical changes in that, given what's going on in the pipeline construction business. Right. And they were trying to pivot their business, and they had decided that the metal bending businesses were not their core business. And they asked me if I was interested in purchasing them. And so we struck a deal, and I bought both companies. I bought Bendco and Houston Pipe Benders, actually with my old partner in telecom. He was very interested in getting back into business.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah. So we bought, we bought the facility and the company of Bendco, which is located in Pasadena. And then we bought the business and the equipment of Houston Pipe Benders, which was located on the Hardy Toll Road. You probably remember their sign, kind of fancy bent sign, which was up there since the 60s. Yeah. That business was started in 1960. And then I moved basically 40,000 square feet of shop space to the Pasadena location and combined the companies. That took about 3 months. And then I had to get unwound from another deal I was involved in and running. I co-invested with a private equity group and bought a fiber optic network here in Houston, but I decided I wanted to do something different. I put so much time into looking at the business.
Sure.
I was disappointed when it happened. So I was at a crossroads. I just could go with what I knew or try something new, and so I just decided to try something new. And so here we are.
That's so cool. That's like,
I love that story. And we obviously talked before the show, but I know about the PE live auction. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah,
it's just mind blowing to me to think about like showing up after 9 months of due diligence, and then you're sitting there, and then some dudes just show up and they're like, no, we're going to go ahead and take it.
Well, somebody probably's like, what does this guy do all the work? And just come in and buy.
Oh, that's got to be. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that's got to be part of the science.
And so, what do both companies do as of today? Because perhaps the business has pivoted a little bit, but I know you said 6-year-old business. What does the Bendco Houston Pipe Benders business do as its core service offerings?
Well, it's an excellent question. So there's really two primary things categories you could put the business into. We do industrial piping, which is the petrochemical world, pipelines, marine applications, aerospace, very high spec, high controlled, of the material. There's technical specs for everything you do.
Sure.
And then the other side of the business is structural steel, and that's for architecture, highways and bridges, the big highway signs you see, the toll booths. You see a lot of that work in like the MSG Sphere. We did a lot of that work.
Okay.
If you've ever been to the Post Oak area on the Galleria, those giant arches that go over the roads there. Yeah, we did all that.
Oh, that's cool.
The curved roof on the NRG Stadium, we did that. Just things like that. And we're pretty much a supplier to contractors and subcontractors.
Sure.
And kind of both sides.
And I assume some of the pipe racks and things on the plant sites too, do some of that work as well, or mostly more commercial industrial applications?
We do a bit of everything.
Okay.
So it really is a job shop. Most jobs come in and are out in 10 days or less.
Wow.
And there's pipe and other metal bent, pretty much in any plant you can name. There's something we've done because the companies have been around so long.
Sure.
You're a savvy businessman, and you took over something that was hurting. And then, people have an intention to do that and then turn it around and make it grow and do better. What have you done since taking over that you can kind of hang your hat on and say, this is where we've pivoted, this is kind of where we're shining, and some of the things you've done since you've stepped in?
Well, there's a few things. Without a team, you don't have anything, right? And the employees of both companies had really been on a rough road. So really had to build trust with them first. And there's a lot of quality talent there, great people. The knowledge that's at both companies was tremendous. It really just needed to be supported and professionalized. So we, started working on the things that kind of matter to customers, the due dates, updates on the orders, bending the materials accurately was never an issue. It was communicating with the customers. It was having people confident that the work's going to get done and delivered on time. That's been a huge focus, and that really is the end result we were looking for. How do we get there? By improving the operating systems, the computer systems that we run the business on to manage the inventory and the orders to the process. There was a fair amount of deferred maintenance on the facility and the machines.
Okay.
From my background in telecom, high availability is everything, right? You remember all the press AT&T got with the outage recently, right? Well, so that's the world I lived in. And so at this business, it was very evident to me that with these machines, which are very complicated, you have to have critical spares for all of them. You have to have power supplies and the critical cards, because you can't wait weeks for things, because these facilities that are relying on your parts run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if they need a part bent, like a right now thing, then you need to be able to do it, or they're going to go somewhere else. So we have to be 100% reliable, and that's really what we're focused on. So it's really getting the morale and the headspace of the people right to build a team, and then giving them the resources they need to be successful, because they know what to do. They've been doing it for 20 years.
Right. That's fantastic. With that being the case, talk to us a little bit about some of the advantages or some of the unique things that make Bendco Houston Pipe Benders stand out, right? So if someone needs that service or is thinking about it, what's going to separate you from the rest?
Why are you in every plant? Something you do is in every plant, like you said. Why is that?
The quality of the work is unmatched. They do phenomenal work. What we've done by combining really the two biggest regional bending companies into one and moving them into Pasadena was get the geographic advantage of being in Pasadena.
Sure.
Right. So we're really centrally located. We get anything shipped over land within 24 hours in the United States.
Nice.
And then having the access to the port has been massive.
Of course.
We can ship things globally out of the port. We're a couple blocks away from the port. And we secured a very large job that got done at the Houston airport for the new international arrival terminal.
Oh, wow.
You guys should check that out online. There's a lot of videos about it. And the material was very large, and it got shipped directly from the manufacturer to the port, to our facility. We did our bending of the material, and it went to the final manufacturer and then installed in Houston. And at the Houston airport, and without the port access, the likelihood of us getting that job would have gone down significantly, because it gave us a huge competitive advantage.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like
that's the story of like this the alliance. That's what I love to hear is like you are here in this region, and you got a signature project job with obviously a large customer that will be there for a long time because of where you are, because of this region. We talk about that so much in the show. It's awesome just to have this port and the opportunities it allows its businesses to procure is just unmatched in my opinion. So in our opinion, I think so.
It plays to our strengths, being at this location. And I was amazed to see your group and what you do. And I'm really happy to be a member of it. Been very welcoming to me as well. I mean, I wasn't in this business, wasn't in this part of town, didn't know anybody.
Right.
And the open arms for people that are trying to drive quality businesses to this area has been amazing.
Yeah, I would imagine that unlike probably some CEO jobs where they're kind of plug and play, right? You come from the industry, everybody knows you, and you get recruited to come be the CEO at this firm. Had you been in telecom, it'd be no big deal,
sure.
Right? But I would imagine it's a completely different world, because it's okay. I got to go figure out how to run the company, and then I got to go figure out this industry on the side, right? Like all the connections, and so you're like a you're wearing multiple hats, right? I'm CEO / probably biz dev and everything else.
Exactly. Yeah. So my in my old business, we were very focused on sales. Telecom is very competitive. We had 150 quota carrying sales reps. So I'm familiar with sales and marketing and all. So that's not new to me. The business is, but fortunately, there's a lot of very high quality, high caliber individuals at the business. And, in my career, I've been involved in purchases and mergers of other companies along the way. And typically, if you pay attention, you'll find the solution to the problems you're trying to solve are within the company. The people are there. They just need to be freed up to do what they need. And they need to have the resources to do what they need and the support.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, let your horses run, right? Let your thoroughbreds run.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you guys have got a pretty cool project going on in McAllen, right?
We
Tell
do.
us about that.
Yeah, so it's been in the works for a very long time. There's a little over 130 pieces of 24-inch pipe that's 3/4 inch thick that's going to go over the bird sanctuary. And I know it's kind of hard to describe, but you can see it on YouTube. And it's an amazing project. It's like a canopy, looks like a bird nest built over a 2-story building, and it's amazing. They've got an over $50 million budget to kind of beautify and renovate this bird sanctuary, and they are putting the money to work for sure. So I highly recommend checking it out.
That is the Quinta Mazatlan Palm, Palm, and Quinta Mazatlan.
Mazatlan.
There you go. But there, you know what? Whatever.
Yeah, and if you type that into YouTube, it'll come right up. And there's a computer animation of what the facility is going to look like when it's completed. And it's amazing.
Love it. So other than that great project, what other big news you got coming up from a Bendco standpoint?
Well, I'm real excited to say we have undertaken a advertising project with BIC, and we were able to secure the back cover for the upcoming magazine.
Nice.
Which I think is a pretty big win, since that will cover the time for OTC as well.
Yeah.
So we're really pushing on our petrochemical refinery part of the business. I think it plays to our strengths with the knowledge of the business and then our geographic location. So we're really excited about building that part of the business.
Yeah, we love our big friends, and Apache's been doing. So I'll tell you, Apache's been doing the big cover for several years. We've got them all on our wall, and it's been a big thing. We try to push that and advertise it, talk about it, and get it. So I think it's a worthy investment. Yeah. Again, we love our big friends.
Right.
Jeremy's
I'm about to say, if you jump out there and get involved with this organization and then plug into BIC, you pretty much are you're on that rocket ship. Figuring out how you're going to get there. And I know the cool thing about getting plugged in as BIC is not only Thomas Brensko, and Thomas serves he's got a servant heart. He's probably one of the most servant guys
he's an amazing guy.
He really is. We've had him on the show, and he's just a great guy. And so knowing Thomas, I know he has a passion for giving, and he's actively involved in the Get Together, which is a big service, kind of a service organization here on this side of the town. I think you guys are plugged in with them as well. Tell us about that.
It is. So I've been to probably 4 meetings, and it is a faith-based charity. So they utilize a lot of the local churches for what they do. And I got to say, extremely high, probably 100% of every dollar or any service or material that's given to this group gets put to work. This is a feet on the street organization, and I'm just getting exposed to what they do and trying to understand the cadence and where we can really be helpful and work together. But I can't say enough about what those people do, and they're very focused locally. So just like we're focused on business locally, they're focused on helping people locally. So it's a very impressive group. They meet once a month. Their website is the first initial of their name. You can look at it and read it out.
The Get Together,
tgtba.org.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and they meet once a month. It's about an hour-long meeting. You get to eat lunch and network. I've seen a lot of worthy causes, met a lot of other industry professionals that are there. I can't say enough about what they do.
Fantastic.
I was going to give you a little bit of praise there. I mean, 15 months or so, You did great when we quizzed you about the business, right? You've obviously learned your business. I know you were under the hood for some time, so you studied well. I think coming as an outsider into the industry and learning it and speaking the language quickly is extremely important. And I know you know that. You've gotten involved with the right organizations. So someone led you in that direction, which is great. About maybe your instincts. So between here and BIC and the charitable organizations. So just want to give you a little high five there. Great job. And I know we look forward to watching the business continue to grow and certainly use this organization however you can to continue that path. But I mean, incredibly impressive story. And I remember when Chad mentioned about Bendco coming on and we knew about it, but I didn't know anything under the hood. So,
been excited.
Great job. Congrats on the success so far.
Matt, as we're about to wrap up, is there anything else that you want to say before we get off the show?
Well, I'd really like to thank the employees. It's been a fast-paced year. I'm kind of a bias for action, and I'm pretty set in how I want to do things. And the employees have really come on board. There's, no haters in the bunch. And without a team, like I said earlier, you don't have anything.
Right.
And these people have done an amazing job at not only continue to operate the business while we combine two big facilities into one, but they've really, really stepped up the focus on the customer experience and, meeting or beating due dates and giving updates. And, when I bought the business, quotes were taking 5 to 7 days. Now quotes are same day. And
nice.
That same people, same set of customers. It's just processes and focus. And, delivery dates are being met. Stuff's getting shipped out on time. We're starting to grow the business. It's starting to show.
Look at there.
And it's all about the employees, right? All I do is walk around and point stuff and ask questions, and these guys are making things happen. So
it sounds like they wanted to be led, right? They wanted to be shown the right way to do things.
Well,
and that's all they needed.
Thrive when that happens.
Yeah. They had it in them. Obviously.
Yeah. The way I think about it is if you show up at an orchestra early, it really sounds bad. There's a lot of talent in there, but it sounds bad. But all it takes is some guy tapping a stick and going like this, right? And the whole thing changes.
That's right.
And that's all I did at the company. That was it. The talent's there.
Right. I had a question before we wrap up. Whatever happened to Stacy? You bring her over to work for you now, or?
No, her husband is the youngest brother of the family, still works at the business.
Love
He's
it.
in business development and doing a great job.
Awesome.
Well, Matt, it's been great having you today. And for those that are tuned in or that have been paying attention, we get ready to wrap up. He's the CEO of Bendco Houston Pipe Benders. Sounds like they're doing a great job of really, really establishing their groundwork here in the company or here in the region. And just he's out here pressing the flesh to build an imprint and a footprint here. So again, if you're listening and you need to get connected to him, please reach out to him. Matt, what's the easiest way to get connected to you guys?
Bendco.com.
Bendco.com. Just get on there and get plugged in ASAP. They can bring you tremendous value. And for our audience, as always, we want to thank you for tuning in. We're going to do our very best to bring you guests like Matt all the time who have a great story to tell and are making an impact in the region. You can always give feedback to myself or Zeke at LinkedIn. Is probably the easiest way to get connected to us. And you can also go to allianceportregion.com, which is our website.
Good job.
You can go right straight to the events section. Is a great place to get plugged into all the great things that are happening. At the same time, you can also go to the social media, or it's actually media tab.
Yeah.
Click on there, and that's how you can subscribe to the show and stay tuned to all of our episodes. So again, thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to go to the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region website and subscribe to our channels. And let's pay it forward by sharing the good news of what's happening in our region by passing this episode to somebody you know.